So, bikini body. Here is how to train for bodybuilding success. So, first of all, what you have to remember is there is no blueprint for a bikini split. Every single bikini individual has their own demands in regards to what they have to develop in their physique. You need to find a split that works for you in your favour, that allows you to continuously progress but also recover adequately in between your sessions. So first of all, let's talk about the bikini criteria. Let's start from the head. Usually all bikini criteria have a good, sufficient muscle mass in your delts. Nice, round, bubbly delts, okay? We have a tapered, smaller waist, and then we've got nice, round, full glutes, predominant hamstrings as well. Now, quads can't be too overpowering or it will throw off your symmetry. And then when it comes to your back, within your PCA federation, you will show off your back, so you do have to have sufficient tissue with your rear delts and with your lats and your upper back too. But in your two bros stance, you do not show your back, but it still is important to have that overall balanced physique. So you need to have good symmetry across all of your body composition and making sure that the muscle mass is still dense and full with a good level of condition and leanness. So how do we get this bikini body? First of all, we have to focus on bringing up your lagging parts. If you are heavily muscled in your delts, your split should not be predominantly delt work. Let's say you have predominant delts and really lagging glutes, then your split should be based upon progressively overloading, which I'll chat about in a sec, with glute work across the course of the week. The rest of your split will be topped up with other parts of your physique that you do need to develop. So not one split works for everybody. You need to work on a split that works around your weaknesses and also your strengths too. Okay, so let's talk about volume. I think that we are all over the 4 sets of 10 now. I think that was way back in the old school bodybuilding days. We understand now that 4 sets of 10 is junk volume, and you're not going to grow, to progress, to recover through junk volume. Okay, so we need to think about volume that works for you to accrue tissue and to accrue strength. So for your larger muscle groups, we may do only 2 or 3 sets. And as long as you're training intensely with intent and progressively overloading, that is enough volume for you to be growing with and recovering with. Then we've also got smaller muscle groups such as rear delts and triceps, which can actually handle a little bit more volume and recover adequately well from there as well. Bigger muscle groups, let's say 2 top sets, 8 to 10 reps, 1 back off set, 12 to 15 reps, and maybe the smaller groups can handle maybe 3 sets or maybe 15 to 20 reps. Okay, so once you find volume that works for you in your training performance, then this is when you really have to start progressively overloading. So in the beginning, you're going to be finding your baseline numbers of training. Your baseline is your foundation. That is you setting the tone for your training. Once you build that foundation, that is when you build the house. You're building that bikini body, right? So nail the basic volume and then progressively overload from this point. And what do I mean by progressive overload? So this is really important that you then get yourself a logbook so you can track your performance in training. Every single session that you perform in is an opportunity for you to beat your previous session. If you are continuously either increasing the amount of reps that you're doing or the amount of weight that you're doing from your previous session, you will be progressively overloading and you will be accruing tissue and strength. Having your logbook there will also give you a clear sense of direction with every single session to ensure that you're focusing on being better than the session before. So once you master progressive overload, so we are beating the reps and the weight from the last session, this is when you need to begin to master training to failure. Now, training to failure takes a long time to actually master, okay? But once you nail training to failure, you will never ever go back to training like an average gym bunny, okay? When you think that you are done with your last rep at the gym, What you have to have in your head is, no, 2 more reps. And this is truly training to failure. We need to make sure that we are training to the point that you are still performing the rep safely, but you genuinely cannot push for 1 more rep. And you should always be training within your recommended rep range. So let's say you've got a top set at 8 to 10 reps. If you are performing away and above and beyond 10 reps, the weight is actually far too light for you, and you're not training to failure, and you're not pushing that intensity, and you're not training with intent. So make sure that you are training within your recommended rep range, almost to that point that you are failing that lift. This leads me on to chat about your intensity. Now, your intensity truly, truly matters. And if you're not training to failure, you're not training with true intensity. And this is why 4 sets of 10 is outdated. You can't expect to be accruing tissue and strength by doing 4 sets of 10 on the Cybex hack. You will be underperforming and you will be overtraining at this point, which only leads to further fatigue. This then brings me on to your recovery. So if you are overtraining, you will be underperforming. And what are the telltale signs that we are doing so? So with recovery, if it is poor, we will struggle to progressively overload. We will struggle to beat that previous session, and we will not be hitting the PBs that we want to hit during our growing seasons. When it comes to injuries, you are more likely to pick up injuries if you are super fatigued. Motivation can also be super low if your recovery is in a terrible spot and you might continuously be aching with DOMs. Now, DOMs are not always a good sign of a good training performance. They are often a sign of poor recovery. So within your plan, you should have a variety of different movements, from cable work to free weight work to machine work. So cable work, for example, we've got lateral raises. For dumbbells, we've got a shoulder press. Barbell work, we've got a barbell RDL. And for machines, we've got a glute drive. Now, it's really important that you master the basic fundamentals within all of these aspects. And then making sure that when we go deeper into your prep, that you are still creating stability within your training and potentially changing free workout into more machine work to make sure that we are not coming into any injuries as our joints get fat free. So, chest day and an arm day. Do bikini athletes need a chest day and an arm day? In my opinion, in my experience, in my advice, no, we don't. We are not marked on the size or the tissue that we have within our chest. It is not a mandatory pose for bikini athletes. We also do not do any poses with the hands above the head to show off the biceps. So it is very unnecessary for you to dedicate a whole day to doing chest and biceps or chest and arms. Now, it's good for you to have this top-up work over the course of your week and maybe implement them into your certain sessions. So maybe with your delt day, have a chest movement in there. With your pull day, maybe have a bicep movement in there, but don't be dedicating a whole day to these movements because it's unnecessary. You're going to push yourself into further fatigue for absolutely no reason. And lastly, let's talk about cardio. So it is not uncommon for bikini athletes to be married to the Stairmaster during their prep. Now, when you're doing cardio on a prep, you still need to be hitting your cardio with pure intent. And this means going into your session and treating your cardio session like a training session and giving it your all and not leaving anything in the tank. If you push super, super hard in the beginning with your cardio, it allows for you to back off the gas a little bit as you push further into your prep. Do not leave any stone unturned. And remember, cardio is a mental game. Your brain will give up before your body does. So it's important to be super, super strong as you're married to that Stairmaster on your prep.